Okay, Kaya, this is the official launch, first episode, episode one of the Firecracker Scholar Program. What the heck that means, we kind of know,
We're gonna keep figuring it out.
but let's look at it. We're in space. How's that? I
Yes,
don't want to be
yes.
corny and say, but that's but you're
Yep,
comfortable in space there eventually.
yep.
So listen, I'm excited. We've talked a little bit about this. We're releasing our first podcast that gives us a little background on really why we started the program, where you and I have kind of synergized with this. Really, really excited. Firecracker Scholar Program overdue, definitely with firecrackers, but we've talked about why. I mean, academics has always sat in its place and a very good special place, and then we've always had the life of a student athlete and the busy
Yep.
weekends and such. But when that question comes up of what space does this fill for our scholar athletes? If I'm a firecracker out there and I'm just checking on this, what is this about? Well, we want to kind of bring them into a certain space, right? So
Mhm.
we kind of chatted a little bit about this. What would you say
Yeah.
what space does this fill for our student athletes?
Yeah, I think that right now a lot of student athletes feel like softball is one kind of space and realm of their life that really matters and is really important. And then academics is this other sphere and space that really matters and is really important. But those things exist separately. Like you're either, you're at practice and you're doing softball and you're thinking about softball, or then you're like doing your homework. And those are pretty separated, I think, in a lot of people's minds. And I think the point of this program is to show people that they aren't actually so separated, especially if you don't want them to be. There are great things that come out of both of those spaces, and so we want this program to kind of serve as a bridge between those two and show people that you can get the best out of both worlds together.
And trying to in our own way, relating to the minds of our market, right? So obviously you're one, and I'm a person that's dealt with a lot of
Yep.
high academic kids in our sport. So, and perspective for me is a big part of everything that we do in the firecrackers, right? So even this particular space, because when these two worlds collide, it's not good, right? When you have a highly driven academic player that is almost well, doesn't have the framework to really put softball into. So she's trying to put softball into her framework of
Right.
whether she's a perfectionist or highly driven, whatever, but you're trying to create an outcome that's not realistic, almost like
Yeah.
changing the weather or something,
Yeah.
right? And so the opportunity for us is to get into that space, but not just, hey, how can we translate softball to high academic kids so it's really not only palatable, but like, hey, I want more, but also bring in the minds of the scholars into softball because
Yeah.
softball's run by volunteer coaches that either played ball or their daughters
Hmm.
needed a coach or something. So,
Hmm.
I mean, if we're going to bring in the future rocket scientists of the world, I mean, let's go. So I'm really excited about creating a voice and a place for our Firecracker Scholar athletes. We've talked about community, right? So, what
Yep.
would you say our goals are as far as creating a place for them to be able to express themselves are?
Yeah, so we're going to create spaces online, maybe in person in the future, but right now we're focusing online where these scholar athletes are going to be able to connect with each other, celebrate academic achievements and accomplishments, talk about hobbies, and just connect with one another and find, other firecracker athletes who have the same academic and athletic goals as they do.
And if you have no problem talking about yourself, great, it's an opportunity for you. But if you're kind of introverted and not really used to it, don't look at it as like you're a place for you to brag and
No.
talk about your glory. Look at it though for a place to present yourself, right?
Yes.
So in the future, portfolios, marketing things, right? Your personas, like that's part of this too. So, for myself as a coach, whether it's learning to communicate, right, or speak for yourself or talk to a coach on your own or whatever, there's a lot of opportunities for us to relate some things and create relatable topics and situations where maybe we can help you start on that bridge to be able to really take ownership and be able
Yeah,
to relate to the rest of this crazy world because that's part of this challenge as well is we're all
totally.
different, right? So I'm excited about that. And those things will fall into place. The Firecracker softball app is a place like all things firecrackers, so you can search for it on your app, and you can find it on any type of phone that you have. But that's a place that we're going to be housing a lot of this. We've also talked about creating a platform to be able to present themselves. So,
Yeah.
our goal there and intent there is how would you describe that as far as how we'd like to give them a place to say, hey, here's who I am academically.
Yeah, so we hope that there's kind of a central place online, whether it's in this app or some other like online website where in one place there's a place to upload accomplishments, transcripts, achievements, celebrate things while simultaneously having some kind of like giant communication network. You could think of it like a group chat, but it'll be a little different from that, where there's going to be interaction. And so our goal is going to be to make that as easy and centralized as possible.
So look at it as we're going to create maybe a digital house
Yeah.
and come on in. You don't have
Yes.
to sit in the middle. You don't have to be the big voice. You can watch, but we really want to create something that we want you to be able to try and then decide, hey, I like it here. This feels good to me. I like
Mhm.
what's going on. So this isn't going to be us pouring to you. We really want to create a place where you feel comfortable really just sharing your life, right? I think that's a
Yes.
big part of, we talk about brand building in the Firecrackers. Brand building, most of all, is who you really are, the organic part of who you actually are, right? What
Hmm.
you believe in, what you stand for, and how to sometimes figure out where these great crazy minds of yours are going to end up in the world someday.
Hmm.
So we've talked about presenting and talking about your handbook. So you've taken the time to kind of just introduce some different topics and some different ideas on some things to talk about that a lot of times if we can stay ahead of our market, our firecracker scholar athletes, they don't have to learn on the back end of it, right? So you can really expedite some of their experiences with some of the things that you've talked about in your handbook. So today what we're going to do is we're going to start, just hit page one, talk
Yep.
about just the initial topics of the handbook. So if you want, Kai, let's go ahead and share it and we can kind of dive
Let's
into it.
do
And
it.
again, to let anyone that's interested, we're going to go through this handbook page by page. And if it's something that you want and to keep available to yourself, we're going to make it available for you. So at a very low cost. And so that'll be on the app. We'll get all these informations, platforms, community stuff out in the next couple of weeks. So we're
Yep.
excited about it.
All right.
Here
Can you
we
see
go.
that?
Yep, we're Firecracker
All
Scholar
right.
Program. There
Great.
you go.
Here is the wonderful cover of the Firecracker Scholar Program textbook.
Love the
So,
Firecracker dude. Look at
yep,
him.
there's a little guy. He's got his grad cap on. He's a successful student. He's got his pencil. He's ready to learn.
Yes, he does. All right.
This is your guide to playing high academic softball. So we won't spend too much time reading what's on these first couple pages. This just outlines what this book is. It is a collection of resources, guides, advice, and stories for firecracker athletes who are hoping to play high academic softball in college, but maybe not quite sure how to go about that. We have a message from Tony Rico in his words, kind of emphasizing the importance of this program. And we mentioned how it feels overdue and how significant this is.
Mhm.
That brings us to page one. So this is the first page of information. I thought it was important to start this book with three misconceptions about playing high academic softball because I think that in the travel softball world, there are a lot of false perceptions of what it means to go play softball at a high academic school. So I just wanted to pick three big ones and explain them right off the bat before we go any further.
Kai, do you
Um,
think that's because is it the misconception there early, or do you think that's because most softball players maybe grow up seeing bigger programs, bigger D1 programs, and then that's kind of the norm for most
yeah.
young players to think, hey, whether it's UCLA or Michigan or something like that. But I'm kind of, I think about where that perception or misconception kind of happens. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think, on TV, you're always watching the World Series and it's like the best eight teams in the country. And some of those schools are high academic schools, and some of them aren't. And uh, everyone always wants to be the best. And so I think when you're growing up playing softball and you know you want to be the best, academics is not usually part of that story. Like you
Yeah.
want to be the best softball player and not necessarily the best student.
And then there's a point where now UCLA is not recruiting you, or one of these, and so the reality starts to come, and now this misconception of, oh, well, the level of competition isn't high if a certain conference or a certain this, but actually now what you've experienced now in your career is not the story, right? So
Yeah,
no,
so
no,
that's my first misconception is I think a lot of people think that the level of competition, the level of play is not as high at a high academic school. I think a lot of people view it as a trade-off between you're winning a national championship or you are, having this incredible academic experience. And that simply is not true. Across all three NCAA divisions, there are high academic schools competing for national championships. I mean, in Division One, we just talked about there are schools like UCLA, there are schools like Duke, Stanford, who we see. Um, those student athletes are incredible, doing the amount of stuff they get done. I can speak to the Division Three level, where I went to Williams, and um, my team won two conference championships. We made it to three NCAA regionals. Like we were competing for like our goal every single year was to win the national championship.
So
That
even
was
an
never a
exciting
question.
postseason.
Yes, absolutely. It was never a question. That was our goal. And that didn't infringe upon our academic success in any way. We held those things equally.
So
Um,
you weren't necessarily studying in the bathroom on the road at 5 a.m. or,
oh,
you
we
know,
were. Oh,
okay. Because that's also, again, part of the academic like life, right? And whether
yeah.
it's this is what I need to maintain what I have, get through this class, or this is my mind, I have to get this done,
Yeah,
right?
it's not easy, right? Like
Right.
I don't want to say that just because you decide you want to do this doesn't mean it'll come naturally. Like you want to play high academic softball, um, and win a national championship. Like those, that's neither of those things are easy to do on their own. And so putting them together, of course, is not going to be easy, which kind of brings me to my next point. So misconception two, you have to sacrifice time on the field. High academic colleges have the same training schedules as all of the programs. So, yes, you may be spending more time on your homework and on your schoolwork, but that does not mean you're spending less time on the field. It means that you might have to manage your time differently than people in other programs, right? Like you might have to, like at Williams, you might have to miss a practice because you have an exam that can't be moved, or you have a meeting with a professor that is so important for your academic success. And then it's about talking to your coach, building that relationship. Coach, this is super important to me academically, but I don't want to miss the first 30 minutes of practice. What can I do? I'm going to stay late. I'm going to stay 45 minutes after practice to make up for that. So it requires more flexibility in terms of your schedule because sometimes you're going to have academic commitments that conflict with softball commitments. But when you're at a high academic school, the coaches understand that. They plan for that. They know that they want you to succeed in the classroom just as much as they want the team to succeed on the field. So they, and I can speak to my experience, are willing to work with you on how do we get it all done. And it takes time and practice.
There's a better balance,
Yes, you need balance. Time management will be a
which the
theme through
which the
this book.
student athlete at that point might not know how to create. So
Yeah.
it's already in the framework of this type of school.
Yes, absolutely. There's support systems built in to these kinds of schools. You have academic advisors who are helping you through this. Like at Williams, um, every freshman on the team has the same academic advisor for the first 2 years. So it's someone who knows the softball team, who knows the program, who understands the certain time commitment of the softball team, maybe compared to other sports, and can help you talk to other professors and kind of balance that.
How important is that communicating, talking with your,
Oh, it's so
yeah,
important. Like my
right?
coach, she would say, if you have a commitment that is going to overlap with a softball thing, just tell me as soon as you can and figure it out. She'd say on day one of class, on the first day of class in the spring, you should go to your professors and tell them every day you're going to miss because of games, or every day you might miss because of games. And then you should ask them, is it okay that I miss? You're not telling, you're asking. And in 99.9% of cases, the professors say, yes, of course. Here's what I want you to do to make up the material. Of course, go play your game. Good luck and go win is usually what they say. Um,
So being able to speak for yourself and also I would say being well spoken,
yes.
right, is to your advantage. So what do you say to the 15-year-old right now? It's like, I don't really
Yeah, it
look
takes
forward to that.
practice, but I think just being able to clearly articulate what matters to you, like going to a professor your first day of your freshman year and saying, "Hi, I'm on the softball team. We have games on this day, this day, this day, and this day. They overlap with class, like, or we have games on Friday night, but it means that Friday morning we're getting on a bus. So is it okay if I miss class on Friday? I'm really interested in this material. Here's how I would plan to make it up. Let me know what you think. Is this okay that I miss this? Because you have to articulate, this is important to me, right? Professors aren't usually aren't athletes. They don't know what it's like to play a sport at a collegiate level. And I think they don't quite understand always just how important sports are to athletes. And so I think being able to clearly articulate, like, this really matters to me. How can we make it work so I can get both done?
That's a great point. And sometimes they have the opposite perception of an athlete, and that is that you think you're entitled or,
Yeah.
you don't have to do everything else. And so really
Yep.
learning how to communicate. And so does that start even, middle school or high school of, even when they have assignments. So obviously they're not really traveling or
Totally.
anything, but
Yeah. I
okay,
mean,
go take your assignment to a teacher. How does this look? It's due next Friday, but learn to initiate some things, right?
yes, travel ball is so time intensive. And so you can go to a teacher in high school and say, I have 6 games this weekend. And maybe they don't really know what that means. And you can say, I'm going to be on the field for 12 hours on Saturday and on Sunday. We have this essay due on Monday. Could I come into your office on Friday to get a little bit of help? Could I come in on Monday to get extra help before the deadline? Is there any chance I could have an extension until Tuesday, right? So it's that same thing, explaining why this conflict really matters to you and just being proactive about figuring out how to make it all work.
That's outstanding. Thanks, Kai.
Yeah, of course. So then number three, it's a misconception that you can't choose time intensive majors. So a lot of people think, okay, I'm going to play high academic softball somewhere, but I want to play really competitive softball. So that means I won't be able to major in this thing that sounds really hard because it's going to take too much time.
Pre-med.
Pre-med, astrophysics,
Hmm.
nursing, biology, the kind of the hard sciences is usually what you think of for those kinds of things. Um, I say it's completely opposite. At almost almost all coaches at high academic schools want you to succeed. They want you to pursue what you are passionate about. Um, I think if a high academic coach ever heard that you were, I'll put this in quotes, settling for a different major because of softball, that's horrible news to them. They want you to be able to do both. Now, this is kind of like point number two. If you're picking a really time-intensive major, like I had teammates that were in labs 3 days a week that would cut into practice time, you got to make it work, right? You got to figure it out. You got to stay late at practice. You have to talk to your professors. You have to move your lab times around. Um, it's not easy, but just because you're playing really awesome, intense, competitive softball does not mean that you have to sacrifice what you want to be studying.
And developing that skill of time management will be one
Yes.
of the biggest takeaways from
Yep.
your
And that's
college
another page in the
experience.
book, so stay
Yeah.
tuned.
All right. Good.
Um, so those are the three big ones. I think it's important to just get that out there and show people that maybe some of the conceptions they have in their head aren't quite right and break that down before they start to learn more through the rest of the book.
Well, a big part of this is like, look, if we don't hear from experience, and this is why you're so valuable to this program, if we don't hear a voice of experience, then we're going to go by our own perceptions or misconceptions of those around us. But if they haven't been there, so that's really the advantage of this. It's the role that I try to play for our coaches in the Firecracker program is like I've made the mistakes that they're making now. And the learning curve, because if we can fast forward that, still really want our players to experience fully the ups and downs and growing pains of living on your own and doing things, but to have some insight, and I guess I could kind of call it training in that, okay, kind of prepared for this, kind of know. And so then when it does happen, if you kind of hit the panic button or you tend to, hyper focus or dive a little too deep, just keep everything in balance. I mean, ultimately, what do we want? We want this to be a source that you can, believe it or not, create your own balance. You made a really good point about these types of coaches that you're playing for understand that this game is not the end of your life. You are going to go do things that are going to sustain yourself for the next 30, 40 years, right? And so I think that again, in the bigger picture, when you talk about a young person, that's more rounded, right? That's a more
Mhm.
rounded plan in front of them. That again, I think that's it's an interesting challenge that each player has. Um, Awesome. We're going to get into more pages of the books. So let's go ahead and we'll stop sharing this now. But that's again, if you want to dive deeper, going to make this available. We're going to continue to get the message out. We're going to market some things on social media, but really just give people an intro and hear you speak about this, Kai. That's really, really great insight that you're giving us. And so I appreciate that. Let's finish with, we want to keep these short. We know that our players are busy.
Yep.
So I'm going to not so much surprise you, but I'm going to ask you, I don't know if like nerd out's still a term or if that's a
Yep.
good thing, but like, how do you nerd out? Like, what does Kai do? Like, do you, on your own time, do you read books? Do you binge watch anything? Do you have the time? Are there any
I
shows that you watch? Like,
My nerding out, what comes to my first is I do the New York Times crossword puzzle every single day.
oh my God. Okay, you are now
Um,
the second person in my life that I've known, and the other person is 88 years old. So imagine how many he's done, and I can tell you there's not a word that he does not know.
yeah, I've
Amazing.
done it every
Okay.
day for
Wow.
at least 4 or 5 years.
And you've got that reduced to how much time to get it done?
I can do well so the Monday's the easiest and it builds up to Saturday's the hardest and then Sunday is like a theme. So I my fastest Monday was in I think 2 minutes and 19 seconds, which was crazy.
Wow.
And
That's awesome.
I can do the Saturday in like oftentimes when I get 75% of the way through the Saturday, I need to check my work. I try to not like check my answers, but they have a built-in check feature. Once I check my work, I can get the Saturday done in like 15 to 20 minutes.
Is there a time of the day that you get this done, or does it
I do it
you
throughout the
fit it
day.
in? Okay.
I do it
Okay.
throughout the
All right.
day.
So by the end of the night, it's checked off. You're
And sometimes even the in the app, the puzzle actually opens the night before at 7 p.m. or 10 p.m. depending on your time zone, the night before it opens. Sometimes I don't even wait and I do it the night before. And then I wake up the next morning and it's already done.
wow. Awesome.
Um,
Awesome. All right, I'll tell you what, I'll throw out some terms. So I'm Captain Obvious Old Guy. So forgive me if I just go and you go, oh my God, did he really just go there? But that's what I want to be. I want to be obvious. So from my end of the world, I'll ask you like if you just say thumbs up or thumbs down, right? You just tell me video games, thumbs up or thumbs down.
for me personally,
Yeah,
I play games.
there you go. What do you play? What's your game
I'm
of
currently
the
obsessed with this farming app, the game on my phone. What is it called? I need to plug this game. It's like so stupid. Township. You just have a little farm, you grow crops, and you like sell your crops. And I'm really into it.
and you become knowledgeable. I remember when my son told me there's games where you mow the lawn so you can see everything, but doesn't mean you necessarily want to go out and mow the lawn.
So yeah, don't worry, I do my fair share of stupid hobbies too.
All right. Okay. So again, preference or time, just assumption, but books, thumbs up or down?
I read. Yep.
Read?
I got a
Recreational
whole
reader.
whole shelf of my books here.
What's your latest?
Right now I'm in a middle of a book called Here We Go Again. It's about these two high school English teachers who were friends as kids, had some dramatic end of friendship, are now re-meeting later in life and are on this journey of no longer hating each other. But I've only just begun it. So,
That's something we've talked about too. So we want to get into some interesting things like this. So some of
mhm,
this stuff will come up. So if one or more of these questions, appeal to somebody, just get ready. Stay tuned in the future.
mhm, mhm.
Marvel, thumbs up,
I've
thumbs down.
never I would like to. I have never gone into it like at all. I think it feels daunting. It's a
Feels
whole
daunting.
world that I'm not in.
Is that the
And
one with the alternate timelines and things like that? Is that?
yes, it's there's like a million Marvel movies and
You
they
may
have
shoot holes in it because you're in that space, or you may go, oh, this is kind of, I don't know. I think that would be kind of
yeah,
interesting.
I don't know. I have friends who've like watched all of it and there's like a certain order you're supposed to watch all of them in and I just it feels daunting.
I have a personal kind of someone that walks me through all this. This is my son. So, and there's times when if he doesn't explain it, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, so he just met himself in
Right.
another timeline.
Right.
No, it's just
Yeah.
crazy. It's
Yeah.
yeah. So daunting, I think, is a good word. Are you a foodie or traditional? Hey, I eat to survive, and these are my go-tos.
No, I like food a lot. I'm not like I wouldn't call myself a chef. And this is actually the first time now that I'm in grad school, the first time that I'm shopping for myself and cooking for myself because I was on a meal plan all 4 years in college.
Uh-huh.
And so
How's it
I'm now
going?
good. I mean, I'm alive.
Yeah, okay. That's
Um,
surviving.
survived. And so yeah, I'm working on figuring out it's hard to shop for one person. Like I bought a loaf of bread and I'm like, wait, I can't I can't get through this loaf of bread before it's gonna go bad in a few days. So I'm definitely on a learning curve of figuring out how to
Give
shop.
me either a previous meal that you tried or future meal that you're going to try if you got it?
The other day I made I've been eating a lot of I do a lot of rice. So I did rice and just like canned salmon, like easy, cheap, full of protein, canned salmon, avocado, soy sauce, and then I had a little pack of seaweed. So I made like little seaweed rice salmon wraps. And
There you go.
those were great and
Players,
easy.
listen to this stuff because you're gonna relate.
Yeah.
And then last one, what's your music of choice right now?
Oh, oh.
I'll assume music thumbs up.
Yeah, I listen to music. My overall favorite artist is Hozier. I love him. I've seen him in concert. Right now, I recently just got back into a Lana Del Rey phase, who like I wasn't really tuned into, I think when she was like really popular, but she's having in my life she's having a resurgence. So, yeah.
Awesome. Hey, that's the organic side. So if we're going to talk about it, right, and talk about who we are, we got to get into it a little bit. So,
Yep.
Kai, absolutely amazing. You're perfect for this. I appreciate everything that you're sharing. I just sit here and think, how is this not going to be relatable? Well, we'll see. I mean, we're always like to try to break our own stuff to see if it doesn't relate. But
Yep.
thanks for your time. And then listen, we're going to pop in weekly, depending on your schedule. You're a busy young lady, and so we're going to keep this going. But keep your
Yep.
eyes open for information, Firecracker social media, Firecracker app. Get yourself on there. And again, we're just going to keep passing things in front of you. Check it out and do us a favor if you like it. We want to give you a place to get involved, but we also want to know your opinion. If there's anything ever we can do better, something we're not touching upon, something that you're going through that, would be nice if we talk about that. There's lots of ways to get a hold of us, message us on Instagram or social media, anything like that. But we want
For
to hear
sure.
you. This is about you. So,
Yep.
well, until next time, have a great week and ace all your tests, and we'll see you guys
Yep.
next time. All right.
Bye, guys.